I'm going to guess that if you have a friend or a coworker and retirement sometimes will come up as a topic of conversation, maybe you've heard the following. Isn't it crazy how expensive it is to retire now? You need like $1 million or 2 million, or some article I saw online says you need like 5 million to retire. Isn't that crazy? Are we going to have to work forever? Now, maybe it doesn't go exactly like that, but I only talk about early retirement planning, and I do not want you to retire so early that you run out of money. And I don't want you to be mad at me when you're 80 with 5 million bucks going, look, that wasn't my goal. I wish I retired earlier when I had my health and my energy. So I don't want you to worry when you see an article like this. So this is an article you can see from Wealth Tender that says, is 5.5 million the magic number to retire comfortably and pass wealth to your children? Now, I will say there are certain cases where someone will reach out to work with us and they have 10 million, and I'll say that's not enough. They go, what do you mean? That sounds like a lot. And I'll say, well, based off how much you want to spend in your goals, you would probably want to work longer or spend less based off what you've shared with me. There's other cases where someone will reach out to us with a few $100,000. And the reality is, if they're not some of these, big spenders, they're just naturally more frugal, they've already got Social Security, and they feel they'd be comfortable, they might go, you know what's more valuable to me? No longer working, no longer commuting, not having to worry about politics at work. I'd rather retire today, even if it means I'm not spending as much as my neighbor. So I'm going to show you a sample case study today so you can get a sense as to how these numbers work, because it might be similar to your own finances. Now, regardless how much money you personally have, you can use the strategies that I shared today to help your retirement. But if you're looking for a case study that's more in alignment with exactly how much you have or close, check this out. You can see I have a playlist here of case studies. If you have 3 million in one company, which I'll see more often than you'd imagine, if you have 2.2 million, if you have 5 million, if you have 1 million, if you have 500K, I make videos around a wide range of finances so you can find the case study that applies to you. But if today you're watching going, yeah, I have 2 million or 3 million, you can still use the principles today. And if you have less than the case study I'm showing today, you can also still use the same strategies and apply them to your situation. So let's meet this sample couple. You can see here, this is a couple that's 57 and 51, a 24-year-old child. It's a similar profile to people who will reach out to work with us. And you can see here, they have saved well. So they have 25,000 in cash at all times. That's what we call their sleep number. No matter what happens, they want to have this amount in their account so they can sleep at night. Then they have 410,000 in their current investment portfolio, and that's across a few different types of investments. So 200,000 is in a 401k, 50 is in a Roth IRA, another 25 is in an HSA, and then the spouse has a 401k with 135,000. So they have $400,000, and fortunately, they own their home, which is worth $600,000. We're going to see how long this couple needs to work based off of desired spending in retirement. And we're going to see specifically what would make them love their retirement. And yes, there's a difference. My name is Ari Taublieb. I'm a certified financial planner, which is not why you should listen to me. How many doctors would you never let touch your body? Probably a lot of them. Now, I'm grateful to doctors, and they put my hip back together so I can play soccer, but it is not why you should listen to me. I hope that there's doctors that you really resonate with and those that you probably wouldn't want to get near you. Same thing in my world. There's CFPs that I think are brilliant and others that I wouldn't let manage a dime of my money. So in this video, I hope you resonate with my style. It's not your traditional financial guy, if you will, who's going over, okay, spreadsheets and more numbers. And I try to keep it real and try to keep it very transparent. So with that being said, let's hop in. First things first, I'm going to need you to imagine that I had a conversation with them and we worked through their goals in depth, but I haven't. So I'm just going to show you a base example. This couple says, hey, we want to retire at 60. Okay, so are they going to retire together? Meaning one of them's 57, one's 51. Is one going to work 3 more years and then retire? Is the other one going to work 9 more years then retire? Do they want to retire at the same time? We can play around with that, which we're going to today. How much do they want to spend in retirement? This is important. So $3,000 is their base expenses, meaning they don't have a mortgage anymore. So $3,000 a month or $36,000 a year allows them to pay their bills. What is this not taking into consideration? A lot. Look at this. What about long-term care? Don't see that in here. What about college? What about new cars? What about vacations? What about if they want to move? All of these things can actually be modeled in the software, which you can all get access to in the description below if you want to do it. Now, in terms of income today, you can see the retiree sample, just chose a random name for them, makes 140,000, spouse makes 75,000. Social Security, don't know exactly when they want to collect, but they're thinking for retirement age. And then they're trying to save $20,000 a year starting this year. They just got a significant salary increase, so they're like, that's what we want to start. And they are going to start putting that towards a superhero account because, as you can see here in their net worth, that's what's really missing. If they want to retire early and optimize their situation, they already have a good amount in some of these 401ks, Roth, HSA. It's some of these other investments they want to look into. Now, this is what their current retirement projection looks like. I just said projection. I meant projection. I was thinking of trajectory, and I almost then thought of saying trajectory. But regardless, here we are. This is where they stand today in liquid assets. If they continue to do exactly what we said they would do, work both of them until 60, spend $3,000 a month, they're looking at $2.6 million at age 96. So first thing I would ask them is, guys, travel, is that important to you? Pretend they say, yes, we want to spend another $10,000 a year there. I would say, okay, great. Is that forever? Is that the first 10 years? Is it the first 15 years? They go, maybe just the beginning. I go, okay, well, you can see here, if you spend another $10,000 a year for the first 10 years, just as an example, you'd have $200,000 fewer dollars. And they go, well, that's a big deal, but looks like we're still okay. And I say, well, is $3,000, that's what you said is your needs, but are you going out to eat on that amount of money? And are you really able to give, do some charitable giving or really help out a friend or like just in terms of general day-to-day things? Do you feel you're lacking? And pretend they say, yeah, we'd really like to increase this to $5,000 a month. I go, great, let's see what that looks like. And so this is something that's in your control. Why do I show this? Well, if they were to say, yes, we want $10,000 a year for travel and increase our monthly expenditures by $2,000 a month, you can see at the end here, they're looking at about $500,000, which is 2.1 million fewer dollars. So some of you are thinking, okay, that's still, what's the problem here? $500,000, still a lot of money at the end, but the risk is your investments don't do what you think, or healthcare increases. And now you're in a tough spot and you don't want to have to risk running out of money early. So I'm just showing you, hey, this is the power of the tool. This is something you can play around with. Here's the number one question I would ask you if you were my client right now. Would you rather stop working today and you can spend $4,000 a month, let's call it $50,000 a year for the rest of your life, or would you say, you know what, I'd rather keep working until I can spend $6,000 a month or $72,000 a year because that would give me a life that would really be exciting in retirement? And some people would respond and say definitely the former, some would say latter, some would say somewhere in the middle. But you can decide because this person can say, you know what, I've just realized that this $10,000 a year of travel is everything to me, and $3,000 a month is like I'm just living off the basics. So I'd actually rather work till 63 if it means I can spend this amount of money. And let's look at the impact. It's significant. Now there's $1 million at the end compared to 500,000. And yeah, you work 3 more years, so maybe that's not worth it to you. But what about the spouse? What if the spouse says, I want to retire at the same time as you? Okay, well, let's look at that. How much of an impact does that make? Well, that's significant. Why is that so significant? Because when one person retires and now we're only living off the other income, which is smaller in this case, that puts a lot of pressure on the portfolio to make up the rest of the income that's needed. So this is a tool that allows you to look at it. And what I'm trying to show you is, yes, it is possible. And I'm not Mr. Rosy Nice Guy. I joke that I'm the meanest advisor on YouTube. But you can see here, if we were to switch this and pretend you go, look, this is sufficient for me. If I could truly retire and have $3,000 a month every single month, stop working at 60, my spouse stops working at 57 with $10,000 a year in travel, and there's $1.5 million left over, like, I don't know if we need $1.5 million. So this is where you need to go in and really get granular here and go, okay, well, how are we invested? Is it a conservative approach? Is it balanced? Is it moderate? Is it growth? Because if you say, I want the most aggressive portfolio here, the numbers will look better. But are you going to be comfortable with that? Because now there's $2 million left over, the proposed plan, if you're planning on very aggressive growth. But what if you're like, no, I want more balanced growth? Let's call it 5% growth with 3% inflation. Okay, well, you could see there's 800,000 now left over. So you have to ask yourself, what returns do I want to plan for throughout retirement? How am I going to get those returns, which is where someone like us comes in to help? How do we make sure that your money lasts forever and that you don't look back with regret going, gosh, I should have retired earlier? So hopefully this video was enlightening to see, yes, it is possible. It's all about trade-offs. So I don't believe in those articles that you need 2 million or 5 million or 10 million. You need as much money as going to allow you to live your dream retirement. And you need to make sure you can bridge that gap until your retirement assets are even available. Because what if this person said, you know what, I'm retiring tomorrow. Okay, well, do we have enough money to live on? Well, in this case, they could elect to use the rule of 55 if it's available to them. If you're unfamiliar with that, check out my other videos and just search Ari Taublieb, rule of 55. It will come up. But this is specifically what we do. So if you want help with all of this, tax planning, holistic planning, which encompasses the estate and the insurance, the investing, the withdrawal, the healthcare, this is what we love to do if you can't tell. So I encourage you to reach out and go to our website, rootfinancial.com, or just start with playing with the tool below to see what could be possible for your retirement. If you enjoyed this video, please like it and comment below if this is a situation that's similar to you. If you go, wow, this is really helpful. I see a lot of your cases are for people way wealthier than me. And if you're like, wow, this is not that helpful to me because I have way more money, but I still could take some value from things that you shared. So that's it. See you guys next time.